Hello, and welcome to One Handshake. I'm your host, Jillian Vorse. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you've been following our show, you know we're all about blending authenticity with strategy to create opportunities. Today's guest is an expert at doing this, and her mediums are LinkedIn and training. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest for today. Too shy for acquisition, Petra Fisher was once the person who hovered in the corner at networking events, slipping out as soon as her drink was finished. But instead of staying invisible, she turned to LinkedIn, doing what she does best, helping others by answering questions and sharing knowledge. What began as a necessity quickly became a thriving global business with clients across 5 continents. Now, Petra helps entrepreneurs become visible, get noticed, and stay remembered so the right clients come to them. Not just any clients, but the ones they love working with. So clearly, Petra's mission aligns with One Handshake's, helping people build meaningful, values-driven connections that fuel collaboration, generosity, and real success. So with Petra, let's dive deeper into authenticity, relationship building, and impact rather than just tactics, shall we? So without
Let's
further
do it.
ado, welcome to One Handshake, Petra.
Yeah, thanks, Julian. Inika's going to cut this out. So,
Nay.
or not. No, yeah, absolutely great to be here, and looking forward to this chat with you and the fireside chat afterwards.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I'm really happy to have you here, and yeah, you've got your tea. I've got my coffee in hand. Yeah, so so let's jump right into it. So the first question I've been so looking forward to asking you because in the times we've chatted, I don't think I've actually asked this of you yet. So to kick us off, did you ever think you'd be an internationally sought after LinkedIn expert?
No, uh, but that's sort of like everything in my life I do first, and then sort of look at what's going on. So
Mm,
I don't think ahead. I don't plan. It just sort of happens.
mhm,
And then once it happens, if I like it, I look at what did I do to make it happen? What can I do to continue it?
mhm, mhm. So what's the answer to that? Like, what did you do to make it happen? Or let me frame it this way. To what do you attribute this success? Do you think it's like personality? Do you think it's just timing? Was it the technology? Was it the emphasis on building relationships or something else or none of the above? What is the, yeah, how did it happen?
Yeah, yeah, great questions. Um, so I've got to think back a little bit now because it's what, 13 and a half years since I started.
Hmm.
So there's a few things to it, but one important thing that happened really early on in my first year was I got in touch somehow online with two people who were back then the most well-known LinkedIn trainers.
Mhm.
And this is when Twitter was still an okay place to be and stuff. Um, so I chatted with them sometimes, and then they were doing this annual event, and they invited me to come and, you know, said they'd have a few people that could be speakers. So this was like, I was totally new in entrepreneurship, right? And
Mhm.
I was sort of thinking, okay, find the money to pay for my flight. They paid for the hotel. Then as I got there, it wasn't quite as glorious as they had said, So it was like, yeah, they put me up in a hotel, sharing the room with someone else. It turned out to be a great person. And also then they changed what was happening, and we weren't doing little talks anymore. We were just sort of, so then, and this is where it becomes interesting. The person I was sharing the room with was a little bit older than me and further ahead in business. She said to me, look, it's not just that you feel like, oh, these people have invited me. It's that they have been able to promote their event as having international people. And so what she said to me, and this was crucial in the early days, when they were doing their thing on stage, she said to me, look, how you do it, you're going to do it, but you find a way to get on stage with him. I'll sit next to the photographer because if
Mm.
you have pictures of you, you know, that is going to, so that was the start really, because
Wow.
they were big names back then, and everybody who did a little bit of LinkedIn training knew them, and suddenly here was I coming out of nowhere, being in pictures and all that. Um, so that was the start that way. The other thing that I did was I thought, I'm coming out of nowhere, right? So I thought, I'm going to organize an in-person event.
Mm.
And rather than have it in whatever small venue, I did it. Anyone who knows the Netherlands, Amsterdam, there's a venue called the Bali, which is quite well known, well respected. And I had a friend who's a videographer. So I didn't make any money of it, I just played quits.
Mhm.
But it gave real good footage and really impressive stuff. So these are the two things I did early on for visibility. And then, yeah, I think what you said, Jillian, my personality and how I
Mm.
show up
Mhm.
is not everybody's cup of tea, but those who do like it really relate to it. And that is also what I teach people now. Like, some people, oh, cat, misunderstand and think they have to be like me, but that's
Mm.
not it. But to
Mhm.
be like you and totally show up like that, then you're only going to attract the people that resonate with you. So that
Mhm.
gives you better results, and that's how things start to snowball.
Mhm. So, did you was this like a tactical decision or like a strategic decision when you first started thinking, "Oh yes, I'm just going to be myself. I'm just going to be authentic. I'm just going to show up as I am." Or did that evolve over time or did you feel any pressure to look or feel or behave or speak a certain way when you were just getting started?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I could sort of give you the same answer as to your first question. It sort of happened because, no, when I first started, I come from a background, in social work and welfare. I've worked in shelters for domestic violence. I've worked with injecting drug users. I've worked with the homeless. And when I became a trainer, I had this idea that I had to do training in corporate. Corporate
Mm,
was kind of a word. I didn't even really know what it meant.
mm, mm.
Um, so I bought a jacket and a pair of heels, right? Because
Look the part.
yeah. And so one day, still early on, I was going to deliver training at an international business bank and sort of half forgot about it. So when it was nearly time, being guts, I hopped on my bike, cycled into town, got there, realized I was wearing jeans and a jumper that my mother had knitted for me like 20 years before. So when I got in there, I thought, okay, I got to address this before they do.
Mm.
And
Mm,
so I just sort of went like, hey, some of you might be looking at me and think like, why are you showing up like this? But I see some of you also wearing casual clothes, so each of you forms an impression of me.
mhm,
As I'm here and I'm talking to you, that first impression can still change.
mhm,
Online, people
mhm,
click away, and that's how I linked it to your LinkedIn profile picture, etc. And
mm, mm,
yeah, when that went down quite well, then I suddenly thought, why am I wearing a jacket in my LinkedIn profile picture? Because that is not how I want to show up anymore. And so again, first it sort of happened,
mhm.
and I looked at it and thought, this is actually why it works really well. And
Hmm. Hmm. So
uh,
just owning it, just literally owning it. So to
yeah,
go back for one moment, it sounds like you got your start in effect by being that expert from afar. So it's like kind of right place, right time, but also being open to that opportunity, I think. So I'd say also there's some credit for yourself there, in addition
yeah,
to connecting with this person. It sounds like the person that you mentioned you were sharing the room with, that's the one who then ended up kind of cultivating this experience for you to get photographed on stage, etcetera. So, that
yeah,
also is because of you, because it would have been just as easy for you to resist sharing a room with somebody you didn't know or anything else, and so there are a couple, seemingly small things that could have completely changed, yeah, the rest, everything else. So I think
Yeah.
there's a couple pieces there that or decisions that you made that really helped to, yeah, usher in all the results thereafter. Two things quickly, because do you know Julie Mason from Australia? Does that name ring a bell from LinkedIn back in the day? And then the other one I'm thinking about is Lewis Howes. Do you know Lewis? He's based in
Um,
US.
yeah, I sort of not
Your thoughts?
know him, but
Yeah,
Lewis House, I think seen his podcast or something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I believe he also got his start in just the digital world, I think through LinkedIn back in the day, and now he's built, yeah, the School of Greatness and all these other things. It's just
Yeah.
random people I just wanted to ask, I'm curious about. Um, yeah, so I think, I mean, you're known, right, for being authentic. Yeah, through and through. When you meeting you in person is who you meet online and vice versa. And so I think that's very respectable. And for a lot of people, they aspire to achieve that. So you make things, you make LinkedIn, I don't know that you make it fun, but you are fun and engaging. So how can people what can you share to folks that are trying to discern this kind of gap between who they are and who they're showing up as and who they think they are? Certainly, some industries are a little bit stiffer than others, but how should people begin to, like, how can they create an experience for themselves that you had or some opportunity for them to test the waters a bit? Does it make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So to me, it I'm always a little bit confused, like, how people don't know how to show up as themselves because that's the only way you are.
Mm,
But I get that some people feel that the way they speak with their friends might not be how they show up online. So what I always tell
mhm,
people is, um, in a work situation, whether you work for yourself or are employed, what is acceptable what's an acceptable outfit?
mhm,
What do you wear at work?
mhm,
That's what you wear on LinkedIn, right? So in
mhm,
my case, it's usually t-shirts or hoodies because that's how I show up. The same goes for your choice of words.
mhm, mhm,
When you speak with people, are you chatty? Are you to the point? Are you casual? Are you formal? It's literally, look, how much of your if you have these two different people in you,
mhm,
how much of
mhm,
your person at home can you get away with at work?
mhm,
And that is also how you show up online. Like a quick example, I was once working with a client who's like a leadership coach for startups, like startups when they're moving into scale up kind of thing. And at some stage I asked him, like, so what do you wear when you're coaching people?
mhm,
And he's like, well, not as casual as you, but probably more like a polo. So it's still like, t-shirt material, but a tiny little collar. And I'm like, okay. So why aren't you wearing that in your LinkedIn profile picture? And he's like, oh, but given what I charge, I can't do that. And
mhm,
I'm like, how much did you pay to work with me?
mhm,
And he's like, and I said, what did I wear
mhm,
when you made that decision, when you said yes?
mhm,
And he's like, a hoodie? And I
mhm.
touch more than he does. So, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, touche. I appreciate that. That's really great. Um, so another thing I really that resonates with the way that you show up in business, and obviously including on LinkedIn, yeah, is the kind of an overlap. So we're all about building, like, nurturing long-term relationships as opposed to just transactional networking, right? So, what's the best way to utilize or to leverage LinkedIn to build connections and continue to remain engaged and, yeah, kind of develop a mutually beneficial arrangement or connection?
Yeah. Um, I think doing it on LinkedIn, doing it in person are the same thing, right? How do you build and maintain genuine relationships. Um, One of the things you said, your conversations don't have to be transactional.
Mhm.
It can be strategic, if you also want to grow your business and become visible and get your brand out there. But the getting visible is like, it's all about commenting on posts. Yeah, posting your own stuff as well, but commenting is way more important because it's a lot quicker. And
Mhm.
also you can target, if I comment on your post, then I know for sure that you're going to see it. And most likely some of your network will see it. Whereas when I post, it's hit and miss who's going to see it. Um,
Mhm.
but be genuine, be
Mm.
real, don't just comment trying to get your own stuff out there. It can be a read between the line, when
Mhm. Mhm.
if this was a LinkedIn post that you just did, my comment would be something like, I love how you talk about building relationships and not always being transactional, la di la di la. It's a bit like on LinkedIn when you comment, how you can do it like this. And then
Mhm.
I always bring it back to you. So
Mm.
even if I snuck in a little bit about me in there. So the thing is, when you comment on LinkedIn, usually LinkedIn already puts that person's name.
Yeah.
Delete it and put it at the end. Because when you comment, you obviously start a conversation with something and someone posted.
Mhm.
And then you can put a little bit about your work or your opinion or whatnot. But then at the end is where I would tag you and ask you another question. So I'd say,
Mm.
ask you a
Mm.
question that comes back to your post so that when people are reading it, even if it feels like it's moving a little bit in my direction, I then bring it back and put all the credit back on you. So that is how you can
Mm.
keep the genuine, honest, and real conversation and be a little bit strategic about it as
Mm.
well.
That's super. That's a great tip for anybody listening. That's a great tip because how often do we see people trying to hijack other people's posts and make it all about themselves, etc. Yeah, that's an
And
excellent
you
tip.
don't have to, because sometimes people say like, "Oh, I'm not going to connect to my competition and stuff," but
Mm.
generally they're your peers, right?
Mm.
And so when you comment on each other, there's two experts
Yeah.
having a conversation about their expertise for the whole world to see.
Right.
I once there was a post by another LinkedIn trainer in the UK. But we both love tea and we often have a lot of banter going on, right? So I commented something and someone saw that. And this is when my headline still opened with cranky old fuddy duddy claims to know shitloads about LinkedIn. So someone saw the opening, cranky old fuddy duddy, so they liked my comment and they saw that. Got
Mm.
them curious. So we went to my profile. So the full headlines, spit their tea out laughing and all that. Um, Connected with me and sent me a message saying like, hey, um, we actually need you for the two directors of the company, probably in about 3 months. This is when I wasn't as business savvy yet, when I didn't know you had follow-up leads. So I just thought, yeah, whatever. And 3 months later, they messaged me and said, yep, we're ready now, you know. And that
Wow.
was a comment about tea, about, oh,
Yeah.
great, that got
There you
it
go.
there.
So I feel like there's a theme that's beginning to emerge here. Whereas, what to post and, all the things short form, long form, hashtags, photos, no photos, video, nah. But here we have a couple things. Number one, the power of the hoodie and the power of tea, right?
Oh,
So there's,
absolutely.
there's
Don't
two.
underestimate the tea.
Yeah, the tea and the hoodie. I feel like in that combination is perhaps equally responsible for creating the success you have is any LinkedIn strategy or content strategy. So it does seem like, I mean, I'm saying it a bit tongue in cheek, but there's also some validity to this, I think, is really showing that yeah, really I don't wanna say embracing our authenticity, just being ourselves, right? Just being ourselves,
Yeah.
and it will resonate with others. I think that's such an
Yeah.
important lesson that it's so easy to yeah, to try to skip over that,
Yeah.
and look for
Uh,
all these, like, super savvy tactics and whatnot and forget the most kind of fundamental thing, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is, because you can be real and authentic and strategic. A brief example how you and I met.
Yeah.
So, for people who don't know, I was a speaker at the Women in Tech Regatta, which is an event that comes to the Netherlands. Well, I would say once a year, but it wasn't there for a few years during COVID. So I had been the speaker at the first one and the second one, and then I went online for a bit. And then when it came, I was invited again. But there was something different, because usually what is so special about the Women in Tech Regatta is that it's not with keynotes and this and that. Usually there's a panel that has a brief thing, and then the audience breaks out in tiny little groups with the panel, etc. This time, the organizers had asked me to actually do a bit more of a presentation that was just me, but still assemble a panel around me. So I thought about it, and I invited 2 people on my panel that know nothing about LinkedIn, even though that was what it was all about, but the people that I wanted with me, that I think are totally my kind of people, etc. They're both really into improv, and that is so easy to link that to showing up online, isn't it? Because you see a post, you need to comment. So I found a way to sell it to the organizer why they would be really good. You happen to know one of them, like you're Ryan, and that's how you got there.
Yeah.
I just got Ryan and Sume there because I thought it'd be fun to do it with them. And then after I had decided that, I just sort of reverse engineered, look, why are they the right people to be on a panel to help people how to show up on LinkedIn, you know? So I didn't start with thinking, who are the experts that are most valuable? I started with, who are the people that I want with me? Who are the people that together with me will give the audience the kind of experience that I really love to give people? And then I made it all work and fit.
Yeah, that was so great. And actually with Ryan, yeah, it's so funny how one person in this online offline relationship building is very strong. It's very compelling. I connected in person with Ryan. First we met online, and then I liked him, so I followed him, and he was posting about different workshops, but I always had scheduling conflicts. And then eventually I was able to attend one of his workshops, and we were just like, yeah, Mutt and Jeff is an analogy that's probably not gonna hold up for everybody. I need to come up with a more universal one. Anyways, kindred spirits, and, we were like school kids, like, it was so wild, like, I had always known him. So anyway, stay tuned. Ryan will be doing a workshop with us soon. We're trying to figure out the scheduling right now. But in any case, and yeah, so through Ryan, that's how directly I got to meet you. Yeah, and how exciting to have you here today and to get to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. All right, so quick question, picking up some pieces of other things you've mentioned. So for folks that are, on LinkedIn now and trying to figure out the best strategy and whatnot, I know it's hard to just give a blanket strategy without knowing all the specifics. But how should they be thinking about allocating their time? Should they be spending a majority of their time writing and publishing content, or is it connecting in groups and contributing to groups? Is it doing events on LinkedIn? Is it like what? Is it all commenting, or is it yeah? How do you approach that? Is it different when you're trying to grow a following versus nurturing a following?
Yeah. Um, so my first answer was, out of all the things that you could do,
Hmm.
well, got to find the ones that you enjoy the most, because if you're not going to enjoy it, you're not going to stick to it, it's useless,
Hmm.
right?
Good.
So even though strategically I could say, oh, ideally you do this, this, and that, but if you enjoy this, but not this and that,
Hmm.
you're not going to stick to it. So I'd rather you do one thing all the time than the whole package,
Hmm.
not kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
Um,
That's
to
good.
break down the options you mentioned, groups are generally pretty useless on LinkedIn.
Mm.
Um, yeah, there are some that are the way groups should be, but the majority are not being moderated properly. It's just people go in there, throwing their posts in there, not engaging with other people's stuff. There's nothing happening. It's just pretty useless. So
Mhm.
finding a group that is really the way you expect the group to be. If
Mhm.
anyone ever finds one, message me on LinkedIn and tell me, because it'd be lovely to be able to build a bit of a directory of real
Yeah.
groups. Um, Events. So with LinkedIn events, um, they can work well. It depends how you do them. If you do it as a LinkedIn Live, so keep everything on LinkedIn, then that could help with your visibility. It also means that the recording is there forever. When you do something out of LinkedIn, like on Zoom, and you want to use a LinkedIn event to get visibility, that's extremely tricky because, first of all, people don't look. They see you
Mm.
invited them for an event, they click. But they don't go to the actual event page where it says that they
Mhm.
have to click this link to actually register. They don't see that. So
Mhm.
you have to manually
Mhm.
DM anyone who clicked on attending to say, hey, saw that you clicked on attending, just making sure that you notice this is the link to register, la di da di da. The other thing is, once people register for a LinkedIn event, LinkedIn is going to send reminders. So a day before, an hour before, whatever, people will get a message from LinkedIn about the event, which sends them back to the LinkedIn event page. So if that's not
Yeah.
what you're doing, it's extremely confusing. So
Sure.
they can work really well if you make them
Mhm.
LinkedIn only, or if you put a lot of effort into continuously explaining this is not where it's happening.
Mhm.
Um, so other things, generally, to get results from LinkedIn, to build your personal brand, become really visible, um, generate leads, or if you're working for an organization, get the right network with the right stakeholders, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's a mixture, right? You want to post some content because that is how you can share your expertise. You want to engage with others through comments and want to be strategic about that. And
Mhm.
it's quite easy. Anyone who wants to know, or I could give you the link after. I've got a
Mhm.
post explaining how to create a list so that if you think these are the people that I don't want to miss their post and I want to comment on them regularly, it's quite easy how you can create a list and then you have a link. And when you click that link, all you see is only posts by these people. So
Mm.
that saves you a lot of time not going down the rabbit hole and all that. Um,
Mhm.
but what if it works? What if people become curious about you, go to your profile, and then what?
Mm.
Because your profile is a website,
Mhm.
it's seconds for people to decide, am I even going to read this or am I gone? So your profile needs to totally speak
Mm.
to the people that you want to reach through LinkedIn. Your banner, your headline, your about section, everything needs to match. And when you um, starting out in business for yourself, so you might have a day job and a side hustle. Biggest mistake I see people make there is the top is all right. The banner, the headline, probably even the about section is all written from them as an entrepreneur. And then we hit experience, and the first thing we see is the day job. And that is luck.
Yeah.
People are completely lost, completely. So, yeah, move them around, you know?
Yeah, the sequence. Yeah, for sure. That's another great tip. I also see the same thing. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Um, so as we begin to come to an end here, I want to, yeah, see if there's any other. I mean, you've shared so many really excellent tips today, but are there any other closing bits that you'd like to share that we didn't have a chance to get to today? A closing piece of advice, or do we feel like we covered a good amount and we can move on?
Um, well, I think the biggest thing is there's different ways you can use LinkedIn because it's just a
Mhm.
tool.
Mhm.
So some people use it very, very strategic with, cold outreach. I'm not
Mhm.
judging. If it works for you, that's fine. I don't do that because I just don't enjoy it. So when you do it more on relationship building, it's not a quick fix.
Mhm.
It's a thing that might take time. By the same token, building these relationships, I have clients that connected with me like 7 years ago when
Yeah.
they weren't in a position where they actually needed my services. Then
Right.
at some stage, when something changes, they leave corporate, start doing consultancy, suddenly they need me. Who do they
Mhm.
turn to? They come to me
Right.
because I've been, as you said, nurturing them,
Right. Right.
all this time. And not nurturing them, that I spent 7 years putting a lot of effort in, but the little things when you think of something and you think, oh, that
Mhm.
would be interesting for Jillian, you just send them that little message. Or
Mhm.
when you create these lists of people to comment on, people that you think you might like to ultimately become your client, create a list so that you check once a week. Did they post? Is there something you can comment on? It's all about
Mhm.
doing these relationships. And then
Mhm.
one day it feels as if clients just came out of nowhere, but they
Right.
didn't. You made it happen.
Right. Right. And it's like you, an overnight success.
Yeah.
Yes.
Overnight success.
Yeah,
This many years in the making. Having said
exactly.
that, I have clients who then land their first client within 3 weeks of
Mm.
working with me. So I'm not saying it's going to take that long, but doing things organically with some strategy behind it
Mhm. Can be
is
really
partly a
powerful.
long-term game. But
Mm.
there are ways to be more deliberate, more targeted, to speed
Mhm.
things up a little bit in the short term.
Super. Well, thank you. And as you had already mentioned, we'll grab the link to the article that you were mentioning about how to identify or create lists on LinkedIn. So we'll add that to the show notes. And then additionally, Petra has offered for listeners of the podcast this checklist that'll show you exactly how she transformed her profile so that it converts. So you can check the link in the show notes. And she's also extended a very generous offer. I'm very grateful, Petra, for those in the One Handshake community. So check out the Fireside Chat forum for details on that. And with that, I think that'll be a wrap. So again, Petra, thanks so much for being here today. It's really nice, and yeah, to be continued over tea or coffee for me.
Absolutely.
All right, cheers. Thanks for listening.